What's going on, guys? So as you can see, I've got a 2000 Honda Fourtrax 300. In my last video I had a Recon 250 lifted on 28s. I recently sold that. In the background of that video you can see there was a Honda Fourtrax 300. That's not this bike. I took everything off the Recon 250, put it onto the 300, and then sold that bike as well. Immediately regretted it. Definitely wanted another Fourtrax 300. I never even barely got to ride that thing, so I picked this thing up. I just put these tires on it. These are 27-inch Mudzillas. I want to say they're 12-inch by 8-inch in the front and 12-inch by 10-inch in the rear. So it already has a 2-inch bracket lift on the front, on the bottom where the shock bolts to the A-arm. Today I'm going to be doing a 2-inch bracket lift on the top of the shock. It's a little tricky, but it can be done. And I'm also going to be doing a 2-inch bracket lift on the back, just to give some more clearance for these wheels and tires. So I'll go ahead and show you how that's done. Alright guys, so as you can see, this is the setup right now. There are wheel spacers in the front. It's not really required on this bike, but I do like the wider stance to it, and it does match the rear. The rears, you do need 2-inch spacers, because what happens is the tires, once you try to bolt them up, they will hit the exhaust here. So with the 2-inch spacers, you can see it gives it just enough clearance. Like I said, a little wider of a stance. So I'll show you too on the front. It already has a 2-inch bracket. I bought it like this. Looks like some type of custom, homemade bracket lift in the front. So the bracket lift that I got goes on top, up there, where it bolts to the frame. So you get a total of 4 inches of lift in the front, 2-inch in the back. It'll give us enough clearance in the front for these tires to where, it'll have more ground clearance and you can turn and the suspension can articulate and you won't have to, do any cutting or anything like that. So the back's a little tricky. You do have to modify the stock shock a little bit. This is the bracket lift that bolts to the swing arm. It bolts in right where the bottom of the shock goes, right here. But the only thing is, with the stock shock, this little bushing in here is a little bit too fat, and when you go to slide it on, it won't fit. So you do have to grind the shock down a little bit. Not the prettiest job, but it'll work. It's not a big deal. So you just grind both sides down, and this way it'll fit into the bracket. So I'll show you how everything bolts up on the front and the back. It's pretty easy. The front's a little tricky. The hardest part is getting the shock back in to line up with both brackets. You do have to have spring compressors and like a pry bar, but I will show you how to do that shortly. So it'll basically give you 4-inch lift in the front, 2-inch in the rear, and it'll have a nice aggressive stance. And it's cheap. A bracket lift is, probably $60, for the front bottom, and then for the top lift and the back bracket was like $40. So right around $100, and you can have a 4-inch lift in the front, 2-inch in the back. And I'm not sure if you can run this on four-wheel drive models. It might put the axles on too much of a bind, but that's why I kind of like the two-wheel drive models. You can lift the front to the sky and not really run into any issues unless your tie rods become on a hard angle. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's get this lift installed, and I'll kind of show you how it's done. All right, guys, so we got the new bracket on. The shock is bolted in. So like I said, there's a bolt. There's one bolt there, one bolt there, one bolt there. You take the stock bolt out. This bracket goes down in there. Bolt goes through that, and then all you do is just bolt the shock back into the top of the bracket. And then now we're up another 2 inches in the rear. So a good amount more clearance, fender clearance. So now it took me about 30 minutes. It's a little bit of pain to have to cut the rear shock, but not too bad. I've already done one. So once you do it once, it's pretty simple. So now this is a little bit kind of a harder part, but it just takes a little bit longer. But now we're going to be doing the bracket on the top of the shock here for another 2 inches of lift. So 2 inches on the bottom, gonna have 2 on the top. I'll show you what that looks like. These are the brackets here. So it's going to go like this. This is going to be bolted to the frame up top, and then the shock, you can go here for 1 inch or here for 2 inch. I want the full 2 inch, so I'm going to bolt the top of the shock into there, and then we'll have two brackets in the front for a total of 4 inches of lift. All right, guys, so I'm kind of working at it here. This is the hardest part. That's kind of done. So this bar right here has to move. You unbolt it from here. There's a bolt right there. and also a bolt. Can't really tell if you can see it or not. It's on that side over there, but it's on the same, on the opposite side, but same area. This has to move so that you can take the bolt out for the top of the shock. So the bracket goes up top here. You pop this plastic piece up, and there's a hole up top where the bolt goes through the bracket and then through the frame. Nut goes on it. Then the bracket gets bolted to the frame here, and then it goes through here with the shock. So I'm going to show you how to do now. This is the hardest part because we have a bracket on the bottom. If this bracket wasn't here, this would just simply slide into the A-arm. But because we have this bracket, we have to compress this spring and then line the bolt up. So I'm going to put the camera here on a tripod so I can show you how to do this. It's a little tricky. You pretty much have to have 3 hands. But with a pry bar and a hammer, you can pretty much do it. This bracket, I'm lucky. I don't really need the spring compressors like I had to do on my other 300. Because of this bracket, it pushed it out a little bit, so it makes it a little easier to get the shock in there and lined up. So let me show you how to do that. All right, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get ready here. Where's my bolt? I think this is the one for the bottom. Yeah, all right. So a little tricky here, but let's see if we can do it. Ugh. All right, so grab your pry bar. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put the pry bar into the bracket. It's almost gonna create like a ramp for the shock to go in. So I'm just gonna get my bolt ready because I'm gonna have to line it up, throw it in there quickly. So hit it with a hammer here. Let's see if I can get it. It's gotta be on there just right. There she goes. Be easy on this. I gotta make sure I don't lose it. It's almost lined up. There. Alright, so now that's in. Let's get our bolt ready. We should be able to just shoot it in there. It's tricky. A little more movement on it, and we can get it in there. Put the fly bar back in there. Get a little more room on it. Yeah, there we go. Down in there. Oop, pop back out. It's okay. Keep working at it. All right, guys, so I finally got it. Same technique that I was using before, but I had to grind the back of this bracket to give this shock more clearance to go that way. That was the only problem. As soon as I did that, it went right in, no problem, real easy. So now, as you can see, we've got, all we gotta do now is tighten everything back down. We've got the 2-inch bracket on the bottom and 2-inch bracket up top, total of 4 inches of lift. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side and tighten everything back down. I'll put the wheels and tires back on it and we'll see how she looks. All right, guys, so she's all done, back together. So now full 4-inch lift in the front, 2-inch in the back. So plenty of clearance now for those tires. So I can turn and go over stuff and not have to worry about them rubbing. And plus these 300s don't have a lot of ground clearance when they're stock. So it's nice to have bigger tires, so I'll be a couple inches higher with that, and then plus the lift should give me a good amount of ground clearance so I don't frame out anywhere. That was the problem I had last time we went out. So that's pretty much it. So like I said before, That's the bracket that was on it. The high lifter brackets that you can buy for these are the ones that go on the bottom. And then if you go on eBay, I can put a link in the description. That's where you get the top mount brackets for the top. So you can run the top mount and the bottom mount for a total of 4 inches. Because anything over a bracket lift, if you're looking to do like a 4-inch lift, like a foreman lift or anything like that, you're gonna spend a couple $100, $300-400 I think it is for that lift. So if you go this route, it's a lot cheaper. 2-inch in the back, bolted on. So that's pretty much it, guys. So stay tuned. We're gonna be doing some mudding here in the next few days. I think today's Thursday, so we'll probably go out on Sunday, take it through some mud and see how she goes. Make sure to like and comment and subscribe. Thanks.